Right, welcome back. We're on episode 8 now of the Homegrown Music Podcast. And I think today we're going to talk a bit about how the government has sort of blocked visa-free travel in Europe for musicians. Just great if you're a musician. How are you, Jack? First and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Not good news, but that's to be discussed. But I'm all right otherwise. Update from last week. I can't remember if this was last week. Might have been the week before. I'm setting up a home studio at some point in the coming future because
that's some good news then.
Yeah, well, studios are all shut, and I discovered the pricings of studios, and it's actually cheaper for me just to do it all myself. So, I'm going to get it all set up like here, and then move the piano probably because it might get in the way.
You're going to get like a set of mics and stuff, that sort of thing.
I'm trying to find a catch-all mic, something that can do like vocal and instrument, just because of budget.
Yeah.
I
you can get that proper like nice like vintagey sound when it's just like one mic in a room, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this room hasn't got any soundproofing. It's pretty. There's not much of an echo, but I'm quite interested to see what we can come up with. It is cheaper to just do it all myself. So yeah, got to figure it out.
Studios are insane. Like we're pretty lucky that in our band we don't have to pay yet because Teddy and George's dad kind of owns the place, so we're pretty fortunate in that regard. But I remember I was in a different project with a couple of other guys, and we wanted to record at a studio. And I remember looking at the price and I was like, wow, that's like a week's wages of furlough at the minute. I was just like, for an hour, you know what I mean? Like for an hour. And I was just like, I can't afford that. That's not, you know. Actually, no, I think it was for the day. It was for the day, not an hour. What am I talking about? It was for the day. But if you're recording for several days, like it's just not, especially if you're a young person, you don't have a means of income. You don't have a job yet. It's so difficult to do it, you know, unless you've got a job.
No, well, I don't. So I've got some money saved up, so I'm going to just use that. But yeah, it's so it would have been $375 to do one EP, right? We've got 2 EPs coming. That's over £800 for 2 EPs.
Yeah.
That, speaking realistically, aren't going to make that money back. So we were just like,
you never know.
Yeah, it's just but being realistic is it will not make £800 back. So I was like, we'll just you just do it here, and also that way I've got it for whenever. I can use it whenever. But I need to figure out how to work it all, which will be fun.
That's the difficult thing, like softwares and stuff, I guess, as well, like recording software.
That's my main problem, is I don't know what softwares to go with. So that's my current field of research, is figuring that out.
Go old school, just do Audacity. And
I've been tempted, but I don't know how good their options are in terms of mixing and producing and stuff.
Not particularly great. I think it's more for like recording demos and that sort of thing. Yeah.
I mean, it might not be too bad, but I'm having a look. But how have you been?
Yeah, man, not too bad. My band we've just created a new Instagram account for sort of our new project, so we actually have a name that we've got now, and yeah, it's been good. It's been like a pretty quick growth in the space of a couple of days. I think this time we were less afraid to push on social media. Like it feels weird, like asking people to follow you. It feels a bit beggy, but you kind of have to do it. It's just part of the job. Like you just have to push your music to people and like promote it like shamelessly, you know. And
I've
been doing a bit of that, but But
Well,
yeah, it's been good.
I like what I've heard so far, and yeah, I mean it's looking pretty good. You grew quite quickly as well, didn't you? As you say, over the past couple of days. So
we basically we made up our original follow account on our old account in like 2 days. We went from
nice.
But yeah, I think hopefully, I mean, now it's like kind of trying to keep the people that we've got, do you know what I mean, interested and engaged and doing the whole kind of social media thing. It can be quite tiring, but I guess it's something that we all have to do, like posting stories and feed posts and stuff. And I think once we
to get on top of.
it's difficult though, because it is something that requires constant attention. And you can understand why like bigger bands just hire someone to do all that stuff for them, because it does take a lot out of you. It's exhausting, like mentally.
And with social medias not run by the musician themselves, they can be a bit vapid. I've noticed, like, the two examples I always use are Ringo and Paul McCartney's accounts on anything. It's very clear Paul McCartney's is run by someone younger and who knows what they're doing. But Ringo's one, I'm pretty sure, is just like this 80-year-old man just like tweeting out whatever he feels like, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
Because it adds a bit more personality, I find. Because it's like, have you seen some of his tweets? It's stupid.
I've seen some of his stuff. I think it's good, because I think it means that there's more of a personal element. Coming across there.
Yeah, it just shows that it's not a. Whereas you look at, like, as I say, Paul's one it feels a bit more corporate and a bit more made. Ringo's is just sort of go at it and does whatever. But that's always my thing. I've been trying with our band account to do a bit more engagement, because we were going quite well for a while, and then we just sort of stopped and we didn't keep going enough. It's partly because of the lockdown, and also partly because I'm now further away. But yeah, I'm just trying to get that sort of back up again, which is hard, but you can figure it out.
It is difficult, because especially as you can't be filming like content or taking photos, with the other members of your band in lockdown.
No,
none of us can do that unless you live together.
Well, no, this is the problem. Is we're so once we went into lockdown, I've been sifting through old videos, old pictures and stuff to see what we haven't already put up, to see if we can put it up now. But there's a couple of lost videos that have yet to see the light of day, and they may do someday soon. But
very mysterious.
It is mysterious. Well, because I haven't seen any of these videos, so I have no idea the quality. But we did a couple, and they just never got done properly. I think just because I don't know, just didn't. But I will one day, maybe we'll see how they go. But until then, just keep up with it. Should we move on to the topic of the day?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Yeah. So, as some of you probably know, the government basically did they block it themselves? Because wasn't there some controversy over who actually blocked it, whether it was the EU or whether it was the British government?
Right. So I've got a independent article here by Rob Merrick. There you go. I could read it in Spanish if I want. The UK rejected an offer of visa-free tours by musicians to EU countries, despite blaming Brussels for what the industry is calling the devastating blow. So essentially, I think we rejected the offer, even though they're blaming Brussels for it, I think.
Right. Okay. But so because wasn't they allowed lots of other, there was like lots of different other categories of workers who were allowed to travel without visas, but musicians just weren't included.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's almost like they're too stubborn to just, go back on some things unless everyone tells them to.
Yeah, pretty much. That's been the continuing thing we've seen as of late. But yeah, I think it's a particularly damaging move for young people and for young musicians as well, because I think, and it will be damaging to older people, because it's just a stupid idea. I don't get why it's been an idea. I think if you look at performers like the really big ones, the famous guys or whatever, they'll be fine because they can pay for it themselves and that won't be an issue.
Yeah.
Whether they'll want to pay for it, though, is the other thing, and they may not go there out of interest and not wanting to spend the money.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people like us or people like our level or whatever or above won't be able to because they simply cannot afford to.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that's the issue as well. Like smaller bands are barely even recovering the money they put into a tour, because it costs so much to go on tour, and they're barely recuperating. Sometimes they're even making a loss. They're not even making a profit, and then they're also expected to pay for their visas on top of that.
You're not going to be able to do it unless you have the money already.
And then no one's going to travel anywhere. You're not going to get tours anymore. You're just going to get local things. And what's the point of that?
Local things can be all right, but yeah, I mean, there's.
But as in, like, people from people in the EU won't be able to see their favourite UK bands, or
and vice versa.
And vice versa, yeah.
It's completely. I saw France. I can't prove this is true, so don't take my word for it fully. But I'd read that France are offering a 90-day free thing. So if you free visa. So if you want to, let's say, tour France, or whatever, and you're there for less than 90 days, I think you can get a free visa. But that's not the UK government stepping in. That's the French government stepping in and saying that they would be good at that. But I don't know whether that's been rejected now or if that is. It was just something I read. So I mean, I'm hoping it's real, and I'm hoping it is still standing. But again, that's on that. Yeah, but that's still on the French government's call and not the UK.
I mean, I've basically at this point I don't expect anything good from our government. I'm just gonna pointedly say I do not support the government in power right now. I know we try and steer clear of politics on this podcast, but at the same time, if you kind of still support them right now, then why?
There's very few people like, I think you're fine, do. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of thrown us, and I think we will see some bands either just completely give up or not go as well as they could have done because of this. I don't know about working in the US because that's the other really big country people go on tour. Sort of you tour the continent of Europe or you do the US. So I don't know about US, but about visas or whatever. But even still, it's pretty okay to start in Europe and go from there and then over to the US. So we'll see what happens.
You have to be able to pull a crowd, I guess, don't you, in each country? You have to know your sort of follower base, I guess. It's so depressing, and it is so frustrating to get news like this kind of constantly. I feel like the whole year, to be honest, it's like you can't go a week without something detrimental happening to this country, and it just feels like every day there's just another thing that's kind of making me go, why am I a musician? why do I even bother? Like, why don't I just get a job that actually pays more and give up this hobby, because it's just not going to work. But then I have to tell myself that I'm being pessimistic and negative, and that I do need to follow what I love doing, because that's the only thing I love doing. But at the same time, it does just make me think, well, I'm going to be poor for the rest of my life, but I'll be doing what I want to be doing. So,
well, I think, yeah, as I say, it's going to massively screw over small artists. I think, yeah, there will be people, as you say, like yourself, who are like, why am I doing this? I've certainly done that. I've gone, why that? Like, the moment I decided I was going to do it, everything suddenly piled on top. I was like, oh, great. Is it a sign? No. But
I've had that exact same thought. I was like, in school, I was like, school's nearly over. As soon as school ends, I'm going to have all that time to dedicate to my music career. And then, just like that.
Blew up, yeah.
Bye-bye.
But it's really, it's not helping, but we'll survive.
We'll get through it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But I'm sticking with it because I feel it is the right thing and something you enjoy, and you can't stop that.
At this point in my life, I've realised it is the only thing I enjoy in life is music, and you know, like I think that is the only thing. Well, no, I mean, there's obviously more.
I know.
Obviously, there's more, but like the only thing that I can actually say like wholeheartedly, like this is the only thing that I want to do, is music. I don't feel this. I know some people feel the same way about their favorite sport or their favorite hobby, and they want to turn it into a job. But for me, it's just music, and I can't see myself doing anything else really.
No, I agree. I've been. I've spent majority of my life thus far just having no idea what to do, and this is the one time I've gone, actually, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing that. So I'm sticking with it because it's taken too long to get to this conclusion.
Yeah, to give up now would be pointless, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I may be broke for the rest of my life, but I mean, I'll be all right.
Oh dear. I think what a lot of musicians do is just get a job that pays the bills, and then at the weekends, I wouldn't hate that if I spent all my weekends just gigging, every weekend having a gig, and then for Monday to Friday doing some boring job that I hate just to pay the bills. I would be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how everyone's been operating musically. That's pretty much how everyone's been operating for the last 20 years, I would say, maybe longer, probably longer, because it's not a sustainable income, especially not right off the bat, and actually not even an income you can completely rely on, even if you are.
Yeah, you can have like 50 years of experience and still be playing the same level of show and still be paid not much money. Still have to have some other source of income.
There's just no
things might get better. We never know. Did you sign the petition?
I did.
Yeah.
I don't often sign government petitions.
No, neither.
Because I don't often find them particularly helpful.
Well, yeah, the government has to actually listen to the people in order for something to be efficient, which isn't always done. So
no, I mean I don't. Yeah, as I say, I don't often do petitions because I don't often find them to do much. But it is something I feel strongly about, and I need to sort of do something.
Yeah.
I felt so. Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, but
yeah, that petition was it did reach its target, didn't it? Like within the first.
I think so. It's still doing the rounds. I saw the other day. It's I don't remember what it's called, so I won't look it up. But
I think it needed 200,000 or something to get considered, or was that? Yeah, and I think it beat that easily. When I signed it, it was like 190 something. So.
No, I signed it pretty early on. I think at 50,000 or something.
Right. Nice. Getting in there early.
Well, because it had been put up on someone's story at like 9 in the morning. So I was like, do that while I'm up. But yeah, it's not good. As I say, petitions don't always help, but it's good to try and good to attempt to.
Yeah, because I think you can't give up hope completely. You've got to hope someone listens, someone cares.
Yeah, I mean, we can hope that there will be some intervention at some point, but until then, we will keep going as we go. Yeah. Keep up.
I mean, at this point in time, I'm not planning on doing any tours because you actually kind of need a bit more than 100 followers for a tour.
There goes the doorbell. Yeah, you can't.
You need quite a lot more, and you need actual released music for a tour. So,
funnily enough, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a few years away from that yet, I reckon. But
it'd be nice to have the option.
It would be nice.
Is the aim? Yeah, I mean, we wanted to do shows over the summer, last summer. The plan was, we made a plan at the beginning of the year, beginning of 2020. There is the door. And it was...
Just ignore it, mate. It's all good.
I don't know if you can hear him, so...
It's all good.
But... Oh my God, yeah.
Don't worry. So you were saying you had a plan for summer.
Yeah. So we had a plan. We'd release music by April, May time, and then over the summer do shows and promote it, and then just keep at it. That didn't happen, of course, because within days of us starting to record, we went into lockdown.
Yeah, man. What annoyed me so much about summer was how busy it was, because I was working at a pub when Eat Out to Help Out happened, and I remember the insane numbers of people that we had, all socially distanced and definitely listening to the rules that we tried our best to enforce. But like the thing that annoyed me was how busy and thriving it was, and yet I had to work so hard at this job, but I couldn't play any gigs to make up for it. I didn't really have many days off. On my days off, I was like, what am I going to do? I'll go to the pub with my friends. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing else I could do.
No, I felt pretty simple. There is, luckily up here in York, there is quite a large busking groups of people. So they're making money that way, but buskers don't often get paid a lot of money. People just walk past them. But there is at least that going on. I've seen a number of them. I've seen a couple of...
to be fair, I think there are some people who make their living off busking, like actually quite successfully. Like there was, I knew, it's one of my brother's friends would literally drive from town to town, and just like at like midday or like early morning, and just go for the whole day. And because they were changing up the location so much, they got a fresh crowd each time, and they basically would make like, they could probably easily make like 30 quid in each town, and then call it a day.
Move on, keep going.
Keep going. And I think that is actually quite if you're good enough, and if people like you, and if you've got the right personality, you can draw in a decent amount, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a workable system. But yeah, I mean, if I had a better singing voice, I would have already been out busking, but I can't sing, so can't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's practicing it.
Yeah, I mean,
but I know what you mean. Like if you're not a singer, quite often buskers that don't sing, if it's just someone playing a guitar, they're less likely to be as successful as someone who's like singing really passionately and making eye contact with the crowd and like being a performer.
Yeah, I mean, you can't exactly drag out a piano. Although actually, no, never mind. I have seen people busk with a piano, but you don't often see people drag out a piano to these things.
It's a lot of effort.
Which is the main instrument I can show off on. I can't particularly play guitar brilliantly. But yeah, you do see. I've seen people busk on the piano. It's really weird because it's not an instrument you often see. But they've got these upright pianos on wheels and just wheel it about, move from areas, and it's a
pretty
interesting system. Yeah.
You need a license to busk, right?
Yes, you do. I believe you need to apply to a council, I think, and you need to do all that.
Enough. Sounds boring.
Yeah. Sounds long and tedious.
Sounds bureaucratic, you know?
It does. That's, I think, the aim.
Did I ever tell you about this time I met these guys literally in a field with a generator, a drum kit, and a guy playing bass? Like I was going for a walk.
So.
I was going for a walk where I live. There's like all these fields.
Right.
I was going for a walk over the fields with my family, and we hear this loud noise, and we're like, "Oh, someone's playing music out of a speaker," because they were like doing drum and bass, but like live.
Right.
And then we go around the corner, and just in the middle of this field, they've like laid down a tarp. They've got one of those petrol generators running to provide electricity. They've got a guy playing bass and a drummer, literally, like, you know, all he had was a bass drum, snare, and hi-hats. And they were just like doing this like really cool live drum and bass stuff. And there was a couple guys filming it, and it was mad. Nice. And I was like, that's the way to do it. DIY it, you know.
Yeah, just I've always liked the appeal of playing in a field or like playing outside in the environment like that. I've always wanted to do that. That's why we did the outdoor thing in my garden, because originally it was going to be in the park and then it couldn't be. So I was like, screw it, we'll do it in the garden then, because we're allowed to.
There's something nice about being outside and playing music. I like outdoor venues are cool, unless it's cold.
I mean, unless it's nighttime or late in the day, it gets cold. But I mean, it's always quite nice to just play outside. Just I used to do this thing. You take the guitar out on sort of like late evening, sit outside and play a bit, because it's quite relaxing.
Yeah, man.
Sit outside, but then it would get cold, and then you wouldn't want to be out there any longer. So you come inside.
In summer, though, that must be so nice. Just sit outside, you know, sun setting, bit of guitar. That sounds
no,
nice.
I was on the wrong side of the house with the sunset.
Oh, really?
The sunset was on the other side, so I'd. But I still got.
Still nice.
Yeah, it's still good weather. So, but I can't quite do that up here because it's way too cold.
Yeah, at the minute it's a little bit.
We had snow.
Really? Oh, nice. Yeah, how much? Like enough to build a snowman, or?
I didn't try, but I'm pretty certain you would have had enough. It was it laid down pretty thick, to the point we couldn't move the cars out of the driveway.
Yeah.
But once you leave our little village, the roads are all like gritted and stuff, so it was. I don't think it was too bad, but just because we're in a pretty small place, they just don't bother to do our roads. So we were stuck for a little bit. But yeah,
stranded.
Oh, well. You guys are quite heavy fog, I saw.
Yeah, man. It was. We've had a couple of weird weather days. Like we've had some really nice, kind of bright, sunnyish days, and then it's been quite rainy at the minute, quite foggy. Yeah. It's been alright though. I don't mind it. I haven't been outside in a while, which I should probably do. I should probably go for a walk. Yeah. I'm looking out the window now and I'm just thinking like, it's raining, but I probably should get out there because I'm running low on like outdoorness. Well,
it's not raining out now, but it's like it's just like white sky. Like, you know, it's just really cloudy. So yeah, but we'll live. Oh, well.
Yeah, man.
But have we got anything else to talk about?
I don't have any more topics prepared. I was kind of just riffing off what you were saying about busking, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, busking's always quite fun. I've always wanted to do it, but can't.
You should do it. Oh, obviously you can't do it now because of lockdown, but
yeah, I mean,
after lockdown,
after a license at some point. I've seen. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things going about.
Just say that we we're like really close to releasing music. But I feel
Oh
like
yeah, no, we can touch that.
I've said that so many times now though that it feels like it's just like, when's it gonna come out?
Have you got like a particular release set yet, or?
Well, I mean, we've like when we're pretty close to finishing one song, and it's the first song that we've ever really done as like an original.
Nice.
And it's like it's just now it needs to be mixed. Like all the parts are there.
Just now needs to be put together properly.
Yeah, all the parts are recorded. You know, it's all there. It just needs kind of the final mix to be done and kind of mastered and stuff. And then I mean I think maybe we'll consider releasing that as a single. But I feel like we want to get an EP done and then release singles separately, but at the same time. Do you see what I mean? Instead of we don't want to release singles ahead of the EP, if that makes sense.
We're actually going the opposite way. We're doing
really.
Yeah, I mean, just because people who like us as a band, mainly just friends of friends and stuff, have only ever really heard 2-3 of our songs, and those are the 3 that we're doing as singles because they're the ones. I also think they're probably the 3 strongest songs on the EP as well. Yeah, around about. There's one other really good one, I think, personally. But beyond that, out of the 6, I think there's the 3 that people know are the 3 that are probably the best. So we wanted to do them as singles. And then I've been trying with other stuff as well to look at singles and what we can do from the second EP as singles and such. And I've got a couple of songs that I've just written that just sound good and will just be singles because they're just good for that and not much else. But we wanted to put singles out first, just sort of not as like a taste thing, partly that, but also just because it's the thing people know most, and so people are gonna catch on to it easier, I think. To start off with, and then bring on the rest of it and see how it goes. Yeah, I need to write a B-side. That's my thing. We've got an idea to do for the 3rd single where we're going to do an acoustic version of the song and a B-side with it.
Smart.
Yeah, just to add a bit of variety, so it's not releasing 3 songs the exact same as they are on the EP, but to do a slightly different version. But I need to write the B-side, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it yet, so that might be behind, but who knows. I think it's quite good though, quite a good system of EPs and singles, because albums take quite a long time from what I've learned. I mean, unless you just like really quick on it and just constantly grinding stuff out, you don't get them out particularly well.
I think it's like attention spans are so much shorter now. I feel like it's almost like your marketing strategy has to cater to how people want to conceive music, where people don't want to sit and listen to a full album anymore. People just want to listen to quick releases, and they just want to have more of them more often. Because like people now hate waiting for an album. Like, there are bands like Tool who will like take 8 years before they release like the next album. I don't know how many years it was, but apparently I don't really listen to Tool, but apparently they took ages to release another album. It was like years later, and it's like unless you have like a really dedicated follower base, you kind of need to keep people interested, and people kind of lose interest because they get older. Like simply, like in a couple of years' time, they may not want to listen to your band. So it's kind of like you always have to capitalize on that.
We live in a time of playlists, and people, as you say, people aren't going to put a whole album on their playlist. They're going to pick out their favorite songs and put it on there. And often, through marketing strategies, the most popular songs are the singles.
Yeah.
So people are more often going to listen to a single and like that than the album tracks. And as I say, with our EP, it's the same thing. The tracks that people like the most are the singles because it's just the way it is. The rest of the songs on there, they're good, but they're not. They're on there for a reason and not the singles because they're not as strong. I remember there was a thing Weird Al said a while back, and he said he probably won't do another album again. He's like in his 50s. He won't do another album. He's only ever going to do like singles again because people aren't doing albums anymore.
Yeah, because people only want to hear one song and then move on.
People don't want. People don't want to sit for 40 minutes and listen to an album.
I mean, I do it all the time now. There are like people I consider.
I mean, yeah, same. I do it.
There are people I consider my favorite musicians who I only really listen to like their greatest hits. Like I love Bowie, but I've never listened to a full album. I just listen to the hits, and that makes me a fake and a fraud. But I don't care. I mean, the same with Queen. I don't listen to all the albums. I just listen to the hits that I love from like the music.
I think Queen is slightly different. I find that albums have a lot of filler.
Yeah.
As opposed to just good stuff like the singles and the greatest hit stuff.
You're gonna hate me for this, but I also do it with the Beatles.
I massively disagree.
I'm sorry.
You're missing out.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. No, I know people do the same thing. It's all right.
Yeah.
I massively disagree, but
I got given the best of CD for like my birthday once.
Nice.
And
the red and the red and blue
number
box.
one.
Yeah.
The number one.
Oh, right, the singles box. Yeah.
And I literally just listened to that non-stop for like
It's a
ages.
good album.
Same with Led Zeppelin. I've got like the best of. I've got so many best of albums and not many full albums. The only full albums I really have are from bands like MCR and Green Day, which is embarrassing to admit, but it's true. And I have to live my truth, you know.
I try and avoid compilation albums, buying them at least, because I don't know, they just feel, because it just takes the best of everything. And I think for me, an album, I'm going to use Billy Joel as an example because this is the one I can see it most problematic with, is you listen to Billy Joel's greatest hits and it's a mix of everything he did from the early 70s to the late 80s, right? Which is a massive spectrum of sound because he changed so much in those years. And each album has a slightly different theme to it and a slightly different sound, like the what's the album with Uptown Girl on it? That album, I forget the name, but that album has a very like mid-50s rock and roll feel to it, with a slight 80s mix on it. The Strangers are very like smoky sounding 70s album, so they're all very different styles, but on a compilation album they're all just like put together because it's the big songs. But you don't get the full experience of listening to something like Billy Joel's The Stranger if you only listen to the few good songs on it.
Sure, because it's telling a story, isn't it? I guess you have to be present. It'd be like skipping through generations if you listen to the hits.
Exactly. And particularly as well with the Beatles as well, I find you go from like their first album to their last album, it's like a different band, you know. It's so you put the two together and it doesn't suit. But I would say that
I think it's a symptom of this generation and my lack of attention to things now. Like my attention span, that's the word, isn't it? Is massively reduced, and like people, it's almost like I don't have the effort or energy to sit and listen to an album, which is stupid. And I do need to do it more, but at the same time, it's just I really struggle listening to full albums through unless I'm on like a long car drive or a long train journey or anything. Like I just can't do it anymore. I feel I've lost something that I used to be able to do because of this age.
Yeah, I'll sit down and put a vinyl on, but only occasionally. And sometimes I'll only listen to like one side, which is 20 minutes of stuff. You know, because I just don't have, particularly double albums as well. I cannot see people doing double albums anymore because it's, you know, twice the size of an album, which people aren't even bothered to sit through in the first place. I cannot see that being a continuation. No. Maybe albums with sequels, like Taylor Swift did recently, where she did the first one, I forget the name, Folklore, that one, and then she did like a follow-up one.
Like really close together, that seems to be almost like the best marketing strategy, because it's like,
I have a feeling that was probably at some point a double album that then they split and were like, right, if we release one half now and then one half later, people are more likely to listen to it
off the buzz of the last one into the next one.
I think that is, if people are going to do double albums, that is the way to do it now, because people are just not going to sit down and listen to 90 minutes worth of material.
But don't you think it then sets a precedent for musicians that just release stuff constantly, you know, and so maybe it's like less music is going to be as refined as it used to be, and it's just going to be more industrial, kind of, in a way. Like musicians just going to, it's more about how to be successful, like how to beat the algorithm and how to just churn out stuff quickly rather than taking time to contemplate
and actually working on it. I mean, we're not, I don't know how it's going to be, but I have a feeling we're not going to see another Beatles or another Queen come out of nowhere and take their time. And granted, the Beatles didn't take their time particularly. Okay, we're not going to see another Billy Joel, certainly, in terms of playing and also release, because
instead we've got Billie Eilish,
who's actually decent. You know, she's not too bad, but she falls into this sort of release as much as you can. I think she's on a lucky streak of releasing pretty good stuff right now. But again, it's not just her as well; it's her brother as well who's writing quite a lot of it. So, you know, I think we are going to see maybe duos and teams grow up out of this, but just to be able to get enough material out. But yeah, I mean, we're not going to see other people like Billy Joel who take their time and release an album every 3 years, and you know, it may not sell the greatest, but people are going to really like it and stuff. I don't think we're going to see that, because it's just not a viable market.
No, it feels like time is speeding up, and it feels like it's like everything has to be faster nowadays. Because I think we're so impatient. Everything is there at a flick of a switch, and you know, I think it's technology. It's how far we've come with social media. It's everything. Like everything is so accessible. And there's almost no patience to like wait for a band to release, and then going down to the shops and, oh no, it's sold out, have to wait till it's restocked, coming back the next week, buying a CD or a vinyl or whatever. And which I never did anyway. I think that died probably years and years ago.
What is it?
Probably like going to a shop and buying a CD. Doesn't happen anymore.
I'm trying to sort of keep doing that kind of stuff, but as you said, it does not happen nearly enough, because it's just not the right place. People just aren't doing it, especially CDs. I don't think people are going to be particularly buying CDs in
Do you know
2040.
If society was the other way around, and if people really, really loved CDs and stuff and really didn't like shows, now would be perfect, in this current climate, because you could just release all of the music you wanted, and people would listen to it. But in a way, though, I do kind of love the fact that I don't see a future where live gigs will die out. I think people will always want to see live music.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing as old as ever. I mean, people have been listening and going to see live music for generations upon generations. I mean, it's just a way it is. But I don't see, not to say people don't listen to music anymore, but no one is putting on their favourite album anymore. No one's putting on their favourite, no one's doing music listening parties. I can't say that I ever attended one, because I'm not that old. But, people aren't going, oh, so-and-so's got the new album, recently. Let's go over and listen to it. Because this is not the way it is. You just, I'll go and get it on Spotify.
Because we listen to playlists, like you said, and we just listen to a broad variety of musicians and genres.
We sound like proper old people right now. Why don't people do this anymore?
Well, I don't know, because I'm like, it's almost like I'm acknowledging it in myself, though, because I'm not, because I do that,
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same.
Yeah,
I can't actually remember the last time I sat down with someone and actually listened to music with someone.
A long time.
Before lockdown, obviously, but even then, I think it may have just been like stuff in the background. It's not you sit down with someone and actually just listen to it. And it's just because of how we are and how I think we will be for certainly the rest of our lives, I think, and maybe beyond.
Jack, we live in a society, man.
We do.
We live in a society.
I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. I think, it is a great thing that we can have music so easy to access to us. It's right there, in front of our faces. But I think that is also, as you say, deteriorating attention spans and lowering hype. As I say with like Billie Eilish, I think she's really lucky in terms of she's having a massive stream of hits and is constantly putting out good stuff. And if that's the only viable way people can make it in music, I don't know how long that can keep up, because there's only so many people who can release song after song that's brilliant.
Yeah. Eventually the burnout will happen, and you kind of just have to hope that by that time the artist in question has saved up enough of their wealth to be able to retire. Or just like release stuff slower. But because I think it is we are going to start seeing it more and more is musician burnout and like creative droughts, and like where people just run out. Like you can't always write an amazing song after song after song. There are always going to be bad ones, and then there are going to be like a few good ones. And I feel like if you just keep churning out songs all the time, you're going to feel a bit soulless after that, aren't you? You're going to feel a bit tired.
As I say, we're not going to see another McCartney or Lennon, because the amount of good music, Lennon in particular, I don't know if they ever put out a bad song, like a bad single. There are certainly bad Lennon songs, pointing to Revolution 9, and a couple of other random bits, and same with McCartney. But I mean, the majority of their catalogue is brilliant and continues to be brilliant. But I very much doubt we'll see another more people like that, because it's just not. It's like a once in a lifetime. People just aren't going to get that.
It's a flash in the pan.
Yeah. So people aren't going to be able to put out so many songs constantly for the rest of their lives. And as it should be expected of them, because it's a hard time. As someone who writes songs myself, I can say, creative drought is a particular problem, because you can go months without knowing or doing anything. And then, like one really good idea will come to you, and then you do that, and you'll go another like month without writing anything. But yeah, I mean,
I guess with people like Billie Eilish, the fact that she's so young, maybe there's hope in the fact that as she grows, maybe creative inspirations will change, and you'll write about different things and you'll have different hits, and it could be one of those things where she does just keep going to her whole life, and it isn't just.
I wouldn't be against that. No.
Oh yeah, no. I think there are some people who have just in the past, when they're a lot younger, released something and it's like really big and it blows up, it goes viral, and then it's like they can never recreate the same thing. No. And then there are also some people who like will do that and then recover from it and still keep producing good stuff.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Went to bed at 2, so I'm not well slept.
That's so late, man. What are you doing?
Just sat about. Like I'm just don't sleep. I'm all right. I wake up early enough. I just don't get out of bed enough.
I watched Paranormal Activity last night, and it really freaked me out, and I couldn't sleep for ages.
No, I don't. I cannot do horror films.
You can't do
them.
Apparently, it can be beneficial for your health. Just like the rush of adrenaline you get from fear can actually be quite beneficial for your immune system. Apparently.
I'm sure it is, but I cannot do horror films. I only just about 2 years ago sat through Halloween. That was the first horror film I've actually watched. Halloween's not scary at all.
No.
Like, it's a really unscary film.
Do you find like serial killers and like real life things that could happen in real life more scary than like paranormal stuff and like ghosts, that sort of thing? What do you find?
The thing is with paranormal stuff, I don't believe in any of it. It's just, I think the way it's framed in film with this is a genius of filmmaking is, not jump scares. That's not genius, but like the way a shot is framed, the sound, the music around it all can make something very scary. Jump scares are also scary, but for like 3 seconds and then it's over.
Yeah.
But I can't do jump scares at all because they just make me go. It just annoys me more than anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't do scary films. Cannot do them.
Oh man.
I think
you're missing out.
But I can sit through documentaries of serial killers and not worry. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't find like I find like I don't like you said, I don't find stuff about serial killers that scary. Because for me it's so grounded in reality that it's like but things that make you like use your imagination, things that aren't real, sometimes the scariest because they tap into that kind of inner imagination that you have of like like you said, like the unknown and the supernatural, and I love that stuff.
I think the thing that makes serial killers not as scary is because most of the time they're caught. And so it's something that can be controlled and something that after a while, but it can be something that can be human. It's a human thing, and humans can comprehend a human, but a ghost, like no one knows what a ghost is. No one knows how that works. Where do they come from?
There's no human motivation. It's just pure like evil, and that makes you go, oh, spooky.
It's just
slashers. It's just about how much can we gore, how much can we like use gore to like make our audience like scared.
I don't like gore.
I don't like it, but
it makes me squeamish.
It doesn't make me like scared though. It doesn't give me the fear,
Yeah, we sat through
a ghost opening things really creepily and like making things like making doors like creak open and stuff. That somehow it taps into like an inner, deep fear.
There was a quote. I can't remember who said it. It was like your imagination. Well, it was about like a film and about how like in this film the actual enemy of the film, like the ghost or whatever, was never revealed like on camera, and it was because it was like your imagination will think up something much scarier if you can't fully comprehend it. Because if you see something straight on, you're like, oh, okay, that's what that is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas if you're only ever hinted at it, your brain will immediately go, well, what? How does that work? It's really clever.
Yeah. See that was the thing with Paranormal Activity versus say something like Insidious or like any of the other horror films. It's like you never see the demon or ghost or whatever it is. It's just like you never even get a hint of what its shape can take, and that's what's so scary. It's like it's just opening cupboards and like making things fall off and like closing the door behind people and like dragging people by their feet, and it's like because you can't see it, it's invisible. That's you fear the unknown the most. But then something like Insidious, as soon as you see a scary guy with the red face in the dream, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's like there's like a famous
too scary.
There's like that famous clip where there's two people talking and it's a jump scare. It's like a famous jump scare and there's like a red face like behind the guy screaming like ah! And see, once you see it, you're like, oh, I know what form it takes. It has less power over me because
I can comprehend it. I know what it is. Yeah.
Oh, it's just some weird red goblin thing. Okay, I get it now. I'm less scared.
But even then, I'm still terrified. I'm a scared boy. I don't like spooky films. They're just too much.
Fair enough.
Try not to. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Film is good, but not scary ones.
Yeah.
I never grew up, to be fair.
You should definitely give it a try one day. one day.
Oh, as I say, like it's all right because we watched Halloween. I watched it in a group of people, and we were drinking, so it was like all right because we could just laugh at it. But I could never sit down and watch a horror film by myself. Just too scary.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
I've never seen Alien. I know that's not particularly a horror film, but I've never seen it.
Chest burster thing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flick that at myself. Yeah, that's the thing that comes. Yeah. Can't deal with Alien. But then again, it might have been Alien actually is what I'm talking about with because you don't see it straight away, you can't comprehend it. You do see Alien in the film later on, but
for the beginning,
you don't.
Yeah.
But from the beginning up until about an hour in, I think you don't see it at all, so you don't know what it is. It sounds about right. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean that's the alien itself isn't particularly scary in terms of how it looks. It's just skeletal with like a weird head.
Yeah.
But it's the suspense of not knowing and not being able to comprehend.
Yeah. When filmmakers leave that reveal until like the last second or until like quite near to the end, that is usually when it's most effective, I think, because you are building up that suspense. You know, you're always constantly, the whole movie is building up to that point where you're going to see it, and that's like the climax of the film, isn't it? And then, you know, but if you reveal something early on, like I feel like it's boring. Like in films where the intro is like a murder, and you see the killer, or you see the monster, and then it's kind of like, oh, so it's all set up now, so you know what we're up against. Like that's the villain of the story, and now you know. I prefer it when it kind of lulls you into a kind of almost uneasy sense of security because you haven't seen anything too scary, but there's the feeling that
there's
something's going to happen at some point, and it keeps you constantly on the edge of your seat. Like, when's it going to happen?
Who knows? Yeah, no, I mean, they're better when you're sat with a group of mates and not when you're by yourself because you can't do that.
I was like really against horror films for so long, man. Like I watched Woman in Black when I was a lot younger, and it really traumatized me. I was ruined. I like couldn't watch horror films, and then in the first lockdown, I just watched it. I was like, I'm gonna watch a horror film, and I'm gonna like. And I was just like, I'm older now.
The new one or the original?
Yeah, the new one.
Because that's supposed to be a bit scarier than the original because I think the original has what's his name, Tim Curry in it.
Yeah.
And he's not a particularly scary individual, so I could probably do it. But just don't do them. But they're good. I think what got me was, do you remember the Maze game when we were kids?
The Maze game.
It was,
you have to
so
complete the maze and then
the
zombie
maze
thing. Yeah,
and then the girl from The Exorcist would come up. I think I played that once and just couldn't do it. And then the other thing as well was the Bloody Mary myth was you do the light and hated going to a bathroom at night.
Yeah,
could not do it because it was what if she's there?
Because of those myths that play on your mind. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Of course, it's not real because, like, what the hell? But,
yeah. But it still makes you scared, you know.
Your brain's like, oh, what if? And then, especially at night as well, because your brain thinks most then, and you're laid there and going, what if something's happened? But yeah, no, I couldn't. It was like year 3, I think. I could not go to the toilet at night because I was too scared, or
because of what people have been saying at school. Yeah.
Or I'd check the time to make sure it wasn't midnight so that she couldn't get me.
Bless you.
But this is like the idiot child I was.
You were a child. What if it's real? You're a child. It's okay to be scared of someone. You're a child, man.
But it just got me. So I just never watched horror films because I was like, well, you know, it's scary. These things happen.
It does. I used to think like, what is the point of watching something that is just going to put you in a stressful mood? I still don't really get it. But it's like I would almost rather watch something that's going to scare me than make me really sad now. Like I don't particularly like sad films anymore because it's just too much for me at the minute. I'm just like, I don't want to watch something that's really sad because it will just make me even more sad about the reality that I'm in at the minute. Like,
I think sad films now, no.
Yeah.
But there's certainly, I think, more of a place for sad films than just stressful ones. Because sad can be a really nice emotion.
yeah,
Not nice. It can be a good emotion.
yeah, it can be
To
cathartic.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah, and especially if a film is really good at displaying, at getting that point and having a good sad ending. But can't think of any examples off the top of my head. But yeah, I think it works. But yeah, I can't. I don't get going through loads of stress just to try and enjoy something. There's no enjoyment in stress. It's just stressful.
You're right.
Just don't get it.
I think a lot of people do it as like a challenge to themselves or to others. Like, let's watch a scary film. Like, you know.
I think also people may not necessarily be scared and more enjoy the thrill and the adrenaline you get from it.
Thrill seeker type people. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as you say, like a film building up enough suspense that can be excitable. But just particularly for me, just stressy, and I just don't deal with it.
What's your opinion on roller coasters? You don't like horror films?
I hate them. I'm so, in terms of thrill, I'm so boring. To be fair, I've never been on a roller coaster, but I think it's also the combination of people screaming as well. Can't do that. But yeah, and horror stories of roller coasters breaking and you fall in. I know that doesn't happen often, but
I mean it's horrible, isn't it? But I think the risks are pretty low. Obviously, there's going to be freak accidents and stuff, but yeah.
I know it's pretty irrational of me to be like it's going to break, but it's just how your head goes.
It happens, doesn't it? Even when people are on like flights, you know, getting anxiety, getting on a plane, it's perfectly irrational thing to be scared of. You know, it's not.
I've only ever been on a plane twice, and it was to Berlin and back, and I remember being really worried for when we got on the plane, and then once you're up in the air, it's absolutely fine because you just okay.
Yeah.
But it's because also film and media just portray like plane crashes. It's like the plane could go down any second.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's like, well, if it always happens in films, it's always gonna happen. Like, no.
Realistically, like there are so many protocols put in place now that it's like it's so, you know.
Yeah, it won't happen. But it's just because film and media portray plane crashes because it's exciting. So plane crash, you don't know who's going to die, so it's more enjoyable to watch.
Jesus.
Enjoyable is the wrong word, but you get more of a thrill of watching an unsuccessful flight than a successful one because a successful one does its job. So I think of
films like Castaway where the plane goes down and Tom Hanks is on the island. Yeah.
Yeah, because but as a kid, my brain was like, well, planes just crash then. Planes just don't fly; they just always crash. So then I was just like, I never went on one because my brain was like, nah.
There are so many statistics out there though that just show like how many times you would have to fly in your life. It was something like it was in the millions of times the likelihood of your plane crashing, and that I think that's like good statistics to be giving people who are scared of flights. Yeah, if you know that it's so unlikely.
Once I went on that one flight, I was like, oh, absolutely fine, not an issue. But it's the same with cars, you know. People don't like to drive, or people don't like being in cars because of the fear of being in a car crash. Your chances of being in a car crash are actually pretty high. Like, not pretty high, but they're like, it's more likely than you're in a car crash than you're in a plane crash.
Absolutely.
Funnily enough. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even then, you know, I didn't want to drive because didn't trust myself not to crash. But you got to live. Yeah.
Yeah, I think living in fear is like the worst way to live, and I think it's like it's like you got to push yourself out of your comfort zone and just do stuff, because otherwise, then how do you experience and how do you learn? I struggle with that all the time though. Like I'm getting out of my comfort zone, doing different things. Like I get so stuck into a routine and like a ritual of life that I just stick to, and I don't try enough new things to. And so I sometimes need people to encourage me to be like, oh, do this, do that, try something new, like, you know.
Yeah, when I say I'm a boring person, I mean in terms of what I do day to day is incredibly dull, because it's just like I eat pretty much the same foods. I pretty much do the same things every day. I do. Lockdown hasn't helped, but even then I was doing essentially very same stuff all the time. It's just because I don't feel don't feel the need to particularly leave a comfort zone and go out and do something crazy or whatever. But there's certainly merit to it.
You have to force yourself sometimes, I guess, just to try new things. Like anything, it's like anything. It's like getting a job or starting a new school or anything. It's like you have to really push yourself out there.
Yeah, just sorry.
Sorry, I
did. Just put the wire in my mouth. Yeah, just get on with it. But I don't deal with adrenaline or fear or stress well. That is something you need to learn to do better, I think, for me.
I think if you're going to be a musician, as soon as you start performing more, then
well, as I say, I mean, the first time I performed, the amount of wasn't so much stress, but like an anxiety and adrenaline. I still feel it sometimes because it's you're shaking, you're like, oh god, but it was really fun, and I guess that's the thrill that everyone wants, is like on your toes, but you're enjoying yourself. But for me, that is performing, because you can't.
Some people take drugs to get that feeling, and some people just perform music.
Wouldn't advise taking drugs.
No, but I mean
people do both.
That is the issue as well. Is like I think massively. I think performing music is like the best feeling in the world. It's like it's a feeling of ecstasy, just playing your instrument with a group of mates or people, anyone on a stage. It's the combined fear, anxiety, adrenaline cocktail that just goes into your system, and it just shakes you up, and it gives you the best feeling ever, better than any sort of high or anything. But then people want to chase that feeling when they're off the stage, and then fall into bad habits and
other cases.
It's
but I think bad. Bringing it back around to where we started off, this is the thing that we enjoy most. I think it's because of that adrenaline, because of that feeling of enjoyment you get out of it. I find when as I say, we did a couple of shows at the school, and each time I'd sit behind the piano and your heart's racing because you're like, God, what if I screw up? Particularly with fast songs as well on the piano, because you have to go from up here to right down here real quick, and and I saw back a video of us doing Hound Dog. I make a number of mistakes, but it's just the fun of it. I didn't particularly notice the mistakes when I made them. Caught back up. I fell out of time a couple of times, but just join back in. And
I honestly don't think there's a single musician out there who doesn't make mistakes when they play live.
As I say, there's particularly the first solo I carried strongly out of Hound Dog, and then the second solo I ended up a bit all over the place. It was like, I don't want to redo what I've just done, but I'd also I ended up at the same place where I just ended. So I was trying to do something and I just didn't quite work it out. But I remember we did Predictable, which is one of our songs, at the summer festival. And the band, so we had the house band, which was a drummer, a bassist, and a guitarist, hadn't heard the song, or we hadn't particularly rehearsed it with them. And Lloyd was playing the guitar and singing, so the guitarist sat out, and I was on the piano. So the bassist and the drummer I got to essentially lead them because I'm at the piano, so I know when to end, and I was one of the louder instruments. So the bassist was stood like right there behind the piano, watching my left hand to follow
you could see what you were doing. That's so cool.
And the drummer was just keeping time, as he does. He had probably the easiest job out of all of us because he could just follow along. But I got to not lead particularly, but like give the nod, right? Oh, we're ending now, and then boom, and that was really fun. I enjoyed doing that. I don't actually know how Lloyd's performance went because I was too busy focusing on myself and making sure I didn't screw up. And that's the one time as well. When I play piano, I'm quite sloppy with my left hand. I like to sort of do loads of grace notes and just like roll over stuff. But when someone's watching you and relying on your left hand to make sure they know what they're doing, I was like really focusing to make sure I was in the right place and wasn't being too confusing. Because like sometimes I'll do like G sharp A. There's like a slide up.
Right.
But like really, I should only ever really go, straight to A.
I guess you just want to play it as solidly and as simply for the person who can, see what you're playing.
Who's following,
Yeah.
But otherwise, normally I'm all over the place because it's fun and adds a bit more energy.
Yeah.
But that was an adrenaline performance, but quite fun. Do you have any like particularly adrenaline-filled performances?
All of them, but I have a few in particular that stand out. Let me think. I mean, the first is always the most.
The big one, yeah.
The big one is always the most scariest, even though it's like the smallest audience and everything. But it's like you play that, and then from there, it's like you learn how to harness the fear and adrenaline and turn it into positivity. I guess I feel like, I don't know, I feel quite a responsibility when I'm behind the kit to not mess up and to not like, because if I stop, then everyone stops, and it's like really, you can't stop in a live performance. So I remember one time, I think I've told this story before, but we're going into the solo of, I have told this story before. But
yes,
I'll tell it again. Yeah, but basically, long story short, the solo cuts midway, and everyone's looking around trying to work out what's going on, and the only things that are keeping going are like me on the drums and the bassist. We're just like, right, we'll just play this riff over and over again. He was just doing the I bet you look good on the dance floor bass line, which is like dum 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 dum, and he was just doing that over and over again, and I was just like keeping it going, like just waiting, like we need to go, and like when to jump in. And I remember feeling like a rising sense of panic, like how are we gonna know which part to come back in? Are we coming back in on the verse? Are we coming back into the solo? What's happening? And we managed to kind of sloppily like get back on track, but it was really a bit scary. I mean, apart from that, I'm just trying to think what's the scariest thing I've done. Do you know what? I think playing I did a solo on hand jive when we did the production of Grease, and that was like the most sort of because all the other instruments cut out and it was just me playing this drum solo break thing.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking like, this is like the first time that I'm actually playing just me without any really, obviously they were there and they were playing, there's like chords that they just I can't describe it, but you know what I'm talking. It's like dum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba ba dum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba
like
what's the
word? Comping.
Yeah. That sort of thing. But it was like there were periods of time where it was just me, and that was pretty nerve-wracking. Yeah, that was pretty.
Drum solos are probably scarier than other solos of like guitar. Well, maybe not guitar.
I don't know. I feel like it's easier to make mistakes and cover them up on drums.
Yeah, and I mean, if you but if you lose time on the drum solo, it will throw everything. Whereas I think if like a guitarist or myself as a pianist lose time, we can always join back in.
Sure.
Whereas if a drummer goes, it throws everyone.
Yeah, but I feel like during a song, I feel a bum note is much more noticeable than like a misplaced hi-hat, or
definitely,
hitting the snare weirdly or whatever. I think if you know the song, you're going to notice it. Oh, that sounds out of tune, or that's not the right chord. Rather than, and especially if it's like jarringly obvious as well, like if it's really out of tune or if it's really just not sounding like the song. But I mean, I make mistakes every time I play live. Every time I play live, I mess something up, but never to the point where it's like noticeable to the crowd, because it's so minute. It's so, to them, they're not thinking about the drums. They're just thinking about the singer and the song. So
yeah, I mean,
pretty lucky.
So,
that's all right.
Well, I need to sleep better. But yeah, I think solos I don't try and do solos a lot because A, I'm a bassist, so we don't get solos, and two, on piano, playing a solo is particularly hard if you have not planned it out, as I discover while playing on live. You need to really plan out solos, otherwise you just look like an idiot. But yeah, I mean, drums. What was my point? Drum solos seem a lot harder. I just also can't play drums, so I just don't get them. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people will screw up a song that people know. As you say, like someone will play the wrong chord. That always gets me. That always annoys me.
Do you know what's worse though? Messing up lyrics. What? Messing up lyrics. That jars me. That jars me, because when you know a song and when the lyrics going to come in, and then they say just like the wrong verse or the completely wrong thing. It's just like, do you know what bugs me more? People reading the lyrics off their phone at a gig.
That can be annoying. I won't speak on it because I know people who do it. But yeah, it can be annoying in a professional setting. And
maybe I'm being too harsh.
Yeah, I mean, it can be annoying, but I've seen people also just like, if they don't have the thing to read, they will not remember it, and I think it's better if they're just reading it and actually know what they're saying.
Yeah. But do you know what? When it appears low effort, when it's not genuinely using it as like an aid, because I understand you need to read music, or you need to, if you can't remember a lyric, I'd rather they had the lyrics to hand. But it's when I remember I saw a performance once, and they were like laughing as they were playing and like making loads of mistakes, and I was just like, where's the effort? Where's the practice and like the rehearsal? It's kind of a bit contemptuous of the whole thing, and I was a bit peeved.
The one thing, this is going to sound really nitpicky because it is, but what really annoys me is when people play Johnny Be Good in the wrong key. So Johnny Be Good originally is in the key of A sharp, right? But majority of people, when they first start learning guitar, A sharp's quite a weird key to try and figure out. So a lot of people just play in A. The thing is, no one actually will then bother to relearn it in A sharp. So everyone just plays in A. So it's really annoying because I've only met a couple of people. Yeah, because it's such a minute change, but it annoys me. It annoys my ear. I'm like, no, wrong, just wrong immediately. I've only known a couple of people who get it in the right key straight away, and they're always pretty good with it, so I'm not going to complain. But yeah, that one always gets me because I'm like, no, it's wrong. I've seen people play it in C as well for no reason, out of nowhere. What was the other one? People play it in B as well, which is like a semitone up from A sharp, which is okay. But again, it's the same as playing in A, just still not right.
The same. Right.
Just not right. But that's really nitpicky of me, and I sound proper like complainy, but that's because I am.
we all have our you know, our pet peeves and stuff.
I think it's because when you go to jam with people, it's one of the songs people jam with most. And when I play on bass, I've learned it in the right key because on bass it's pretty easy. But then people will play it a semitone lower, and then you're like, "Oh crap! Now I look like the idiot because I'm in the wrong key." It's not an issue; you just slide it down a fret. But
Sure.
You look like an idiot for the second that you're in the wrong place. But yeah, that's the one song that always gets me. It's Johnny Be Good. I guess people do like Green Day songs as well that sometimes annoy me. What's the really well known one from American Idiot that isn't American Idiot?
Jesus of Suburbia. Holiday.
No, the acoustic one. What is it?
Oh,
September.
when September ends. Yeah.
I see people play that, and sometimes they're just like playing like harmonically. They can play in whatever key because I can't remember what key it's originally in. I think it's in G or A, but people will play like the wrong chord, or they'll play like instead of like an E minor, they'll play like an E major. I've noticed that's really annoying because it's not even like a similar sound. It's just dumb and wrong. I'm sounding really
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's just like because it's got a weird harmony to it. Break me up. Not a weird one, but it's got a distinctive harmony to it. And when people screw up that harmony, I'm like, no,
not right.
Wrong.
Incorrect.
I don't notice it so much when drummers do different things, unless like a song has a really distinctive drum part.
Oh, mate. Oh.
I don't necessarily
notice. You've just reminded me of I saw this one band play, like a local band, and it was like one of my favorite songs as well, but I couldn't get into it because the drum part was just wrong. Like he was just playing any old beat over this song, but this song had like quite a specific part, and everything else was perfect. Everything else, the guitars, like you know, the song had a male vocalist on it, but the performance, it was a woman singing, and she was doing an amazing job of it. You know, even getting some of the same lows as the original singer, but like the drummer was just completely off. It was like he hadn't learned the song. He just played he just played any old beat. It was like, right, I'll just play that beat over that. Doesn't really matter, but it does matter because it doesn't have the authenticity. Yeah. I mean, there are things I do when I cover like some songs. Just because I genuinely am not technically proficient enough to play it the way the drummer plays it, so I'll simplify it. But the same feel and the same rhythm is there, and I will always try and stay true to it. I may not play it exactly the same, but I'll always try and stay true to the feel of it, and you know, and I will just simplify the feels that I can't play. You know.
Yeah.
Because like there's like I bet you look good on the dance floor. Like the opening drums for that are just insane, and I still haven't worked out what he's doing. And so I do a simplified version of it that still carries the same vibe. It's not, you know, we could just skip that whole section, but I try and do it. But this guy was just playing something completely different.
Yeah, no, you don't see it much with pianists and piano players, I guess, because piano is one of the most taught instruments, so you learn everything correctly. Although, actually, on that though, I do have a songbook here. Let me get it. Because this book annoys me like all hell. So it's your first 50 popular piano songs, right? And where is it? So this should teach you really the songs properly, right?
Yeah.
That's not it. I'll find the contents page. Hang on. Can't think of the name. Okay, right, 90. So page 90, where it is Hotel California, right? Hotel California is in the key of B minor, which isn't a particularly hard key to play on piano. They teach it to you in A minor, just to be like easier, I guess.
Right.
But like it's off because it's not right.
It doesn't sound right, does it?
No. Okay. Like these are the right chords if you're playing it on guitar, but with the capo on. but like not right for piano.
No.
And yeah, here, Candle in the Wind by Elton John, which is in the key of E in real life,
Right.
but in the book it teaches you in C, which isn't even close. I don't get it. Why? Why do this?
Maybe it's like a licensing thing. Maybe it's a copyright thing.
I think they've got Boulevard of Broken Dreams correct. I think it's not a piano song, but I think they've got the right chords.
There is some piano in that song actually.
Yeah, but I mean, it starts off with a guitar part.
Oh yeah.
I haven't heard it in a while, but yeah, I mean, it really annoyed me about Candle in the Wind because I know how to play it, and it's like, no, it's in E and not in C. But I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe it is a licensing problem. But like, there's a lot of instances throughout this where it's like the wrong chords for the wrong song.
It's just not the same song at that point, is it?
No. I Walk the Line, I think they've got in the wrong key as well. By Johnny Cash. They're teaching that in C as well, and I think that's in E. I think it's like trying to make it simplified so that like as a beginner, but then this is my problem with like teaching beginner piano is like you teach someone this something in like C because it's the easiest key. So they'll learn it in C, but actually it's in a completely different key. So then when they try and play along with it, or they bring it to a group to play, the group will have learned it in the original key and they've learned it in the wrong key. And then it just doesn't help because then everyone's playing the wrong thing. Like if you're going to teach someone piano, teach them the right keys and the right place to play stuff. Otherwise, they're just going to look because they won't bother to go and relearn it later on because they'll be like, okay, that's how you play it.
Yeah.
That's really nitpicky.
It's
annoying.
If you didn't know much about music and you didn't know what the right key is,
yeah,
you just take it for granted and you think, oh, I don't know this song, but the book says that it's this way, so I'll play it this way.
I think they could do because Stand By Me is one of the here they teach Country Roads in C when it's in A, and Stand By Me is in A as well, and they teach it in C. I remember learning Stand By Me on piano, and you do it with the all white keys because it's all in the key of C. I then tried to play it on bass in that same key, but no, it's not because it's like a minor third down. You look like an idiot and you sound like one. So stop doing it. It annoys me.
Right, we're gonna clip that and we're gonna send it to whoever wrote the publisher of whoever wrote that.
Book publisher. I'm not gonna say that name, but these people who make these books, stop doing it. It's annoying.
Yeah, man. I'll let them know. I'll let them know you're very annoyed.
Not that I can actually read any of the dots, but I can read the chords and I can say that they're wrong because they are. They do Jason Mraz's "I'm Yours" right. There you go. That's a positive about it. But yeah, and it's not just this book; it's like all books.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to teach you the most simple way of doing it, but the simple way isn't always the right way. So stop it.
Could also be some copyright issue, maybe, possibly.
It could be, but the thing is, because it's like, you take Candle in the Wind, for example. I've now lost it, but like it's got Elton John and Bernie Taupin's name at the top, so it is crediting them.
Right.
And it's not actually playing the music, is it? It's just
that's true, I guess.
Showing you, but I guess if it is a copyright issue, it's a weird one because I don't get why it would be that way.
No.
But yeah.
Weird.
I don't like these books.
You should say, look, hire me instead. I'll give you proper books with the actual keys, rather.
It's just and then you go and look them up later on in life, and you're like, oh, that's completely wrong because it is because you've been taught wrong.
Yeah, man. It's important to correct technique very early on because otherwise you get bad habits.
Yeah, you end up doing things wrong. I'm trying to see. Sorry, I'm now looking. Okay, I teach Blackbird correctly, which is not even close to being a piano song.
Are you going to go through that entire book and just figure out which one's correct or which one's not?
I just want to see. Yeah, okay. I want to see if they did Bad Moon Rising correctly. Right. They do not. It's not even close to the right key.
It's just disappointment all round, isn't it? It's just.
I sound really moany. But
it's all right. It's fair enough. It's fair enough. It's a genuine concern, you know.
But yeah, I remember Billy Joel complained about it because he had his work transposed, like in these books. He had his work transposed. He picked up the book, read through it, and they had transcribed everything wrong. They did like a sus chord when he meant like an augmented or whatever.
Right.
But so he went back to the publisher and was like, "No, this is wrong. You need to change this."
Yeah, this isn't his song at the end of the day.
If the artists themselves don't like it, then fix it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop complaining now. That's my little rant for the day. Is books.
It was a good rant. It was justified. Fair. It was justified and it was fair. I think. So.
Yeah. Should we close up for now?
Yeah, let's
it's been a good chat.
Yeah, it has been nice, man. Thanks everyone for listening. That was episode 8 now, yeah? Episode 8?
I believe so.
Yeah, that was episode 8.
Don't quite me.
Episode 8. Thank you for watching episode 8 of the Homegrown Music Podcast. And yeah, see you next week. Bye.